Hello you lovely lot and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mahsa and I know that we are halfway through January already, but we are going to be doing some reading goals today as well as doing our February TBR. So first of all, let's do some reading goals because I love to set myself some goals. I actually ended up reaching my Goodreads reading challenge last year, which is wild. I can't believe I did that. But this year I have upped it just to see, can I keep going? We'll see. So this year our reading challenge is 40 books. So that is roughly around one book every week and a half, which I feel like sounds like a good pace for me because I am not a massive read. I do like to read, but I have to be very much in the mood to read, and I am a mood reader. So I think the reason that I actually hit my goal last year was because I got very into a few book series and I ended up just reading them really quickly, and that is why I ended up actually hitting that goal. Also, by reading them really quickly, I sometimes do mean I listen to them on Audible, because while I'm working and things, I just like to have it on. I like to get them finished in like 1 or 2 sittings if I'm really into it. Even if it is multiple hours long, I will still try and get it finished really quickly. So that ended up happening last year with the Prison Healer series, and I devoured that book series so quickly on, again, Audible, and I ended up also doing the same thing with the my brain is not working today, with the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. So if I get into a series, I will absolutely power through it. So I'm hoping that's going to happen again this year. So the aim is 40 books for the year. One of the other goals that I really want to aim for is reading more of the books that I actually own, rather than getting them on Audible or getting them on Kindle or buying new books. I'm not saying that I'm not going to be doing those things, because I absolutely will be, but I really want to try and read the books that I already own. So last year I ended up turning, you might be able to see them in the background, so particularly here. So I ended up turning all of the books that I haven't read around so that the spines were actually hidden. So my bookcases don't necessarily look all that pretty at the minute. And that is because I only put them spine out once I've read them. And as you can see over here, we have a lot of things that I have not read. So that is one of the reasons why I want to read more of the things that I actually own and try and get through them so that my bookcases can start looking wonderful again. Another goal of mine that I think I might turn into some sort of reading vlog series. I might not, I don't know. But the goal itself is that there are a lot of book series that I haven't read yet, because I only came back to reading through the pandemic, like a lot of people. So that chunk of time when I just wasn't reading, there's a lot of popular books that I just haven't read from that time. So I really want to catch up on some of the really popular books that everyone's read and I just haven't read. For example, one of them would be the Hunger Games books. I love the Hunger Games movies. They are my absolute go-to comfort movies, but I've never read the books, which is just a little bit ridiculous at this point. So things like that where they are incredibly popular and I just have never read them for some bizarre reason. I would like to get to some of those. The third one is that I would like to read at least one non-fiction per month, or maybe once every 2 months, but basically between 6 and 12 by the end of the year. I really enjoy reading personal development books and productivity, sort of like self-help sort of vibes. I really like those. I particularly like to listen to them if the author's reading it, so I really enjoy those, and I just want to maybe go a little bit outside of the personal development self-help realm to maybe read a few more non-fictions that aren't necessarily in that genre. And the fourth and last goal that I have for the year is really intimidating because I don't know where to start, but I think if I started I would probably enjoy it, and that is trying to read some manga series. It is a whole realm that I would have to research to try and figure out where do I start, what kind of things am I gonna like. I have no information, but I think I would like it, so it's something that I'd like to dip my toe in and try to maybe read some of this year. We'll see if that happens. Don't hold me to it necessarily. But if you have some good recommendations, then do drop them down below, because like I say, I have no idea where to start. And now we are into what is arguably the more exciting part of this video, and that is the January and February TBR. So we do only have about 2 weeks left of January, so that's why I've also thrown in the February TBR all with it. Except that I've got the TBR in front of me and I have only just now realised that February is Valentine's Day, so I might want to throw in a little bit more of the romancy reads, but I don't know. If I change that, you'll find out eventually. The first book that I am so incredibly excited to read is the second book in the Crown of Nyaxia series by Carissa Broadbent, and that is The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. So the first book I read at the beginning of December, I believe. I listened to it on audiobooks, and it was during the time where I was getting ready for all the Christmas markets that I was doing, and it was so good. So the first one is about a human girl that gets adopted by the Nightborn Vampire King and lives amongst vampires, and she is basically taught her entire life that she is prey living amongst all these predators, and she is on edge, and she trains her entire life so that she can defend herself. And there is a tournament that comes about once every, I can't remember how long, but it comes about once every generation, I want to say, maybe, and that is the Kajari. And so she, a human, enters the Kajari, which is similar vibes, honestly, to the Hunger Games. So she enters this tournament along with all of these vampires, and whoever is left surviving at the end of this tournament gets one wish from the goddess of death and the goddess of night herself, who created the vampires, I believe, and that is Nyaxia. So it is so good. It has everything that I've ever wanted. There is tension, there's the Hunger Games like tournament challenges element, there's friendship, there's sexual tension, it has some smut thrown in, but the twists and turns and the plot twists, like I didn't see coming. I was sobbing by the end of it. It was a roller coaster, and it was a really long audiobook. I think it was more than 15 hours, I want to say. It was a really long audiobook, but I was so invested every step of the way. And the way that the first book ended is just ridiculous. So I am so excited to listen to the second one because I have such high expectations, and honestly it better not be a letdown because I'm so excited to read it that it better not be a bloody letdown. The next book on the TBR is The Long Game by Elena Armas, and this one is the third book that I will have read by Elena Armas, and the first one being The Spanish Love Deception, and then The American Roommate Experiment, I think it was called. So I really loved the first one, The Spanish Love Deception, and those two were standalones, but the characters from the first book were also in the second book. This one I don't think has anything to do with that universe, so I don't think this actually has anything to do with the other two books, but again, I'm not sure. It is a romance, and it involves football, or soccer, as the Americans like to say. So I'll just read it because I honestly know very little about it. So it says, Adeline Reyes has something to prove. After years of working at her father's football club, she wants to make a name for herself, but not for the wrong reasons. When an embarrassing video of Adeline goes viral, her father sends her to a small town to turn around their struggling soccer team. She arrives armed with plans to kick them into shape, only to find a group of 9-year-old girls. One person is there to help, Cameron Caldani, a goalkeeping legend who is inexplicably in town. But after an unfortunate incident involving a rooster, the two find themselves on opposite sides. This sounds like enemies to loversy, or like rivals to loversy. It sounds cute. I am a sucker for like a small town setting, so we'll see how this goes. I want to read it because I loved the first one and I really enjoyed the second one, so I'm just curious to see how this is going to go, and I do usually really like her writing. So this is the second book on the list. Next up are 3 books from the same series that, if you've been here for a little while, you will probably be sick to death of me mentioning them, because I think they've been on my TBR waiting to be read, or waiting for me to get through this book series for a year, maybe 2 years at this point, I don't even know. And that is the wonderful Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. Here's the thing with the Throne of Glass series, I don't know how I feel about it. So I have read Throne of Glass before, and it was, I think, 2 years ago at this point. And I think because I was forcing myself so much to try and get through it, I don't remember a lot that happened. I can't even remember if I enjoyed it or not. It's just a bit of a blur, to be quite honest. So I've read this. I have also read this. I remember some things that happen in here. I mean, I remember some things that happen in the first one as well, but I remember some things that happen in here, and I just, again, I don't know how I feel about it. And I think it's because I was reading them really slowly because I had other things going on. So by the time that I ended up going back to it, I sort of like didn't care anymore, to be honest, so I'd lost all interest. And the only time that I started to be a bit more interested in it was this. So I read those 2, and then I went to The Assassin's Blade, which is sort of like the first book in the series, so it's like the prequel stories. So with this, I really need to get through this book series. And the reason is, well, there's 2 very big reasons. The 3rd Crescent City book is coming out very soon. If not, it's already out. So that comes out very soon. I haven't read any of the Crescent City books, and that is because I am trying to get through this series first before I read the Crescent City books. Do you see the issue? And I know that as soon as the 3rd Crescent City book comes out, there's going to be spoilers everywhere, and I just want to read the series as soon as I can so that I can move on to the other series. Also, the other problem is that I am desperately in need of an ACOTAR reread. I miss those characters so much. I love that series so much. It brings me so much joy. I need to reread the ACOTAR series, but I have promised myself that I can't reread ACOTAR until I get through the Throne of Glass series and the Crescent City books. Thus, we have my dilemma. So, in January and February, my goal is to get through The Assassin's Blade. We're going to start everything again so that I can try and get into things properly. We are going to start The Assassin's Blade. We are then going to move on to the Throne of Glass book, and then the Crown of Midnight book. And if I somehow have time or energy or patience at that point, if I can manage, then I will read the next one, which I think is The Heir of Fire. So the next one I haven't read before, so that'll be new. I just need to refresh these 3 so that I can then go into it and read the Heir of Fire book. There is no if. I have to get through this. It's just been so long of me trying to read the series that I think if it doesn't work out now, then it might be a case of me giving up on it. But I should love it because of how much I love ACOTAR. I should love this, and I just don't. And I think it's similar to when I can't get into a TV show. If there isn't a character that I really love and connect with, then I really struggle to basically care about any of it. And I think that's why I was really struggling with Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight, because I wasn't really connecting or caring much about anyone in the book. Well, I sort of was, and then if you know, you know, then that, you know, that happened. And then I was also connecting more with some of the characters in Assassin's Blade when I read the first story. And it's like, again, if you know, you know. And that's why I have issues. We're gonna move on from this. And the final book that is currently on the TBR is one that is so popular, and I've seen nothing but incredible things about it online. It did come out a good while ago, but it is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. This is sort of like an urban fantasy magical-y book. So I'm just gonna again read the synopsis because I don't know too much about it. When books are quite popular online, I tend to avoid knowing anything about them so I don't end up accidentally spoiling them. So, after her mother dies in an accident, 16-year-old Bree Matthews wants nothing to do with her family memories or childhood home. A residential program for bright high schoolers at UNC Chapel Hill seems like the perfect escape until Bree witnesses a magical attack her very first night on campus. A flying demon feeding on human energies, a secret society of so-called Legendborn students who hunt the creatures down, and a mysterious teenage mage who calls himself a Merlin, and who attempts and fails to wipe Bree's memories of everything she saw. The mage's failure revealed Bree's own unique magic and a buried memory with a hidden connection. The night her mother died, another Merlin was at the hospital. Now that Bree knows there's more to her mother's death than what's on the police reports, she'll do whatever it takes to find out the truth, even if that means infiltrating the Legendborn as one of their initiates. That sounds really good, and I think that that is going to be one of the ones that I again listen to as an audiobook. I've got a lot of work coming up, and that sounds like it would be really good just to listen to it, and it is one of the bigger ones on the list. And I am in my audiobook era. I don't know why, and I don't know how it happened, but I'm very firmly in my audiobook era. So they are all of the books that I am planning on reading and hopefully will get to, because as Goodreads keeps reminding me, I am already one book behind schedule. So I am hoping to try and get it through them. I desperately need to make my way through Throne of Glass, and I know so many people love it, so I don't know what my problem is with it, but I'm gonna give it another go. So they are all of the books. I'll have all the books linked down below. I'll also have links to Audible where you can get a little bit of a discount as well. Everything's going to be linked down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a big old thumbs up. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Let me know what you think of Throne of Glass and why can I not get into it, because I don't know why I can't get into it. And if you've got any manga series recommendations, then also pop them below. Also, hit the subscribe button because I am trying to get monetized this year. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you very soon for another video. Bye!